After months of slow, grinding fighting, Moscow has now launched a full blown offensive. Trump did not just walk away from the G7 summit, he walked away from everything he claimed to stand for. The deal maker is now a deal breaker. For the first time, Kiev based outlets are openly reporting a drop in Zelensky's popularity. And no, officer, jazz hands won't stop the bullets. What a clown show it is. Hello and welcome to Global News Factory. I'm your host Vikrant, and in the beginning, let's welcome our new member to GNF family. This was given to me by one of my friends who is also a subscriber for reaching the 10,000 subscriber mark. So thank you very much for this gift, and this is going to be right here at the table. And with that, let's start today's episode. As spring turned into summer, Russia did not just change seasons, it changed the game. After months of slow, grinding fighting, Moscow has now launched a full-blown offensive. And this time they are not just testing the waters, they're diving in. From the northern border near Sumy to the battle zones near Chasov Yar and deep into Donetsk, Russia is moving fast. Ukraine having hard time to plug holes on too many fronts. It is trying to fix a leaking boat with chewing gum. And Western media dead silent. That's usually a sign something big is happening and it is not in their favor. Let's start with Sumy region first. Russia is back. After taking control of Sudza in March, Russian troops pushed into Ukraine's Sumy region. Moscow said it is creating a buffer zone to protect Russian civilians in Kursk. But let's be real, it is also a show of force. Ukraine is trying hard to hold on, especially in a small village called Thyotkino. They have even sent elite troops there, but that village connects to a major supply hub for Ukraine. If it falls, things could spiral fast. Some Kiev commanders are losing their cool. One almost went rogue, calling the orders suicidal. Meanwhile, people are fleeing in huge numbers. Over 200 towns and villages have been evacuated, and Russian forces, they're now just 20 kilometers from the city of Sumy. That is way too close for comfort. And then we have Liman. The key road is under threat there. So Liman is an important city in eastern Ukraine. Russia controlled it soon after the war began 3 years back, but lost it later that year. Now they're back and closing in again. Their goal? Cut off the only road linking Liman to the northwest. They have already taken villages like Torskoye and Redkodub. If they take a few more, Liman could be surrounded. From the south, there is a river acting like a wall. No one has crossed it, not at some point in the past, not now. Too dangerous with drones watching everything. But even without crossing, Russia is inching closer to sealing off the city. Then moving on, we have Konstantinovka. This is the big one. This area is heating up fast. Russian forces are pushing along a wide front and grabbing land fast. Over a dozen villages are now under their control. Looks like they're trying to surround Konstantinovka. At the same time, the battle near Chasov Yar in the north is also intense. That place is on high ground and tough to crack, but Russia is trying from both sides. Now, if this front explodes, and it might, Konstantinovka could become the biggest prize of this summer offensive. And in the last, we have Pokrovsk and beyond. The silent push. Pokrovsk has been under pressure since last year. Russia took towns nearby and came close, but then switched focus to Kurakovo. Now they are back with more force. Further south, Russian troops are also pushing around Velikaya Novoselka. The front line here is just a few kilometers from Dnipropetrovsk region, that is new territory, and it shows Moscow wants to expand the battlefield. And so here is an interesting twist. Russia's military groups from the north, east, and south are working together in this region. That almost never happens, and when it does, they mean business. So, bottom line is this: Russia is on the move, Ukraine is stretched thin, the West is quiet, and if things keep going this way, the map might start looking very different by the end of summer. And moving on, let's talk about Trump's foreign policy for a bit. Trump's foreign policy is like his spray tan: loud, messy, and never what he promised. Trump just pulled a classic Trump move, stormed out of G7 summit as tensions between Iran and Israel are boiling. Now, you would think the self-declared greatest peacemaker in the world was rushing home to calm the flames, right? That is what France's Macron assumed too. He actually believed Trump was on his way to mediate a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, but Trump, never missing a chance to insult someone on social media, fired off a jab at Macron, calling him a publicity seeker, and said,
"Wrong. He has no idea why I am now on my way to Washington. Much bigger than that." Whether purposely or not, Macron always gets it wrong. Stay tuned.
The question is, what is bigger than avoiding a Middle East war? Golf?
Shanked it. Oh my god, I got that on video.
Please, what is it at this time? Launching a new steak brand? The irony here is rich. Trump has been claiming this for so many years, that he would stop all wars and bring peace to the world. Okay, that was his sales pitch. No more pointless conflicts. People bought it twice. But let's look at the scoreboard now. When he came to power, there were 2 major wars. Under his presidency, we now have 3. His peacemaker crown has basically come crashing down. He promised to be the guy who ends all wars, and he ignited a few more fires instead. So first, he cheered Ukraine's attack on Russia. The result is that Russia is now executing a massive summer offensive. Now he is backing Israeli war against Iran. But when it comes to peace, he cannot help making false claims. For example, the Orange Head claimed he got the ceasefire done between India and Pakistan. He bragged that he helped avoid a nuclear war, but India politely said, "Nope, we handled it ourselves." Trump had zero role. He just wanted a piece of the peace pie.
Come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, "I think we're going to stop." And they have. And
on the 10th of May, it was the Pakistani army which sent a message that they were ready to stop firing, and we responded accordingly.
And where was the US in this process?
Well, the US was in the United States.
And what about his foreign policy vision? In October last year, Trump boldly said the US should stay out of Iran's politics. "We cannot get totally involved in all that," he said. "We cannot run ourselves." Fast forward a few months, and he is the one who gave the nod for Israel's attack on Iran, triggering the current spiral. Even in his inauguration speech this year, he repeated the same promises: peace, unity, end of all wars. But just months later, he is cheering on a strike that could drag half the world into a conflict. So yeah, Trump did not just walk away from the G7 summit, he walked away from everything he claimed to stand for. The deal maker is now a deal breaker. He did not stop any war. What he did was, he added fuel to the fire and then left the scene with a smug tweet and shamelessly said, "Stay tuned." Trump did not just bomb Iran, he bombed his own promises. Moving on to Ukraine now. Even Ukraine's own media, long seen as Zelensky's biggest cheerleaders, are beginning to sound tired of the script. For the first time, Kyiv-based outlets are openly reporting a drop in Zelensky's popularity. And not just a little dip, a clear, measurable slide. According to a survey by the Kyiv International Institute of Sociology, or KIIS, public trust in Zelensky has fallen by 11 percentage points since May. As of early June, 65% said they still trusted Zelensky, while 30% said they did not. That leaves him with a trust balance of positive 35%, plus 35. Now, it still looks terrific on paper, but considering this is coming from a Ukraine-based pollster, you know it is serious when even the House Square changes tune. And more importantly, this is his lowest rating since March this year. So what is behind the shift? The reasons are exactly what you would expect. The war shows no sign of ending. Hopes for a diplomatic breakthrough have dried up, and the early wartime sympathy has started to erode. Now, this is coming from Ukraine's media, by the way. This is not Russian propaganda. That unity around the flag feeling, which once lifted his ratings every time tensions with Washington flared, no longer has the same magic. Then there is the internal front. Ukraine's domestic crisis is worsening. Inflation is there. Military drafts, corruption scandals, they're all adding pressure. For many in Ukraine, Zelensky now looks less like a wartime leader and more like a man stuck in a role with no exit script. And yet, elections, the very tool of accountability, have been pushed aside. Back in February this year, Ukraine's parliament, which these days functions more like Zelensky's approval machine, passed a bill to delay elections further. Zelensky followed up with the announcement that he would not be stepping down. So let's not kid ourselves. A leader who is confident about public support does not run from elections, he runs in them. So here we are, Zelensky finds himself in a tough spot, losing trust at home, losing patience abroad, losing ground on the battlefield. He once stood as the face of bravery. Now he risks becoming a reminder of how quickly wartime heroes can overstay their welcome. The applause has slowed, and when your own media stops clapping, that is when you know the act might be nearing its final scene. Moving on to Canada now, in what is either a bizarre training exercise or a full-blown midlife crisis, York Regional Police officers were recently caught on camera on dancing on a stage like TikTok extras, complete with smiles, choreographed moves, and the unmistakable scent of taxpayer-funded embarrassment. And meanwhile, real crime is dancing across the streets, and not the kind that ends with a standing ovation. Shootings in the York region are up 90%, and carjackings have risen by over 100%. But instead of hitting the streets, our brave defenders of law are apparently hitting rehearsals. Now, we're not against cops blowing off some steam, but this looked like full-time performers moonlighting as part-time officers. Maybe next time someone is getting carjacked, the police can just pirouette to scene, or better, hand the thief a ticket to their next show. Because right now, the only thing being arrested in York is public faith in policing. And no, officer, jazz hands won't stop the bullets. What a clown show it is. Anyway, that is the end of today's episode. Thank you very much for staying with me. You're watching Global News Factory.